Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to thank you so much for joining me this evening, this Thursday evening, the 23rd of the 1st, 2025, on In Review, where we look at some of the news. What is your news? What is the latest news? And what is your news this Saturday, this Thursday night? There's so many different things. As I always say, each Thursday night, there's always new breaking news. There's always new breaking developments which are happening in the UK and around the world, and we are seeing what is happening in the states, what's happening in the UK, and but hey, without further ado, let's start the program and let's go. Well, good evening, and want to welcome you this Thursday night. And I want to thank you for waiver, Michelle. Thank you so much, and of course, I'm going to welcome Mr. Garry Graham, who knows everything and is going to be the source of all the information. Sir Garry Graham, how are you doing, sir?
Not bad at all. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I must say, good. The weather is like 2 degrees Celsius, but what can I say? It's a blessing. Oh, whoa, Michelle. Whoa, hi. Well, let's welcome Michelle in the States. Something is happening in Florida. Do you know what? Have you heard about Florida, Gary? Your dad is in Florida. You're freezing over there. Snow
You
is
mean it's
falling, man.
yeah? I
Huh?
mean, it's in the north. Um, the snow is up in the north end of Florida, but where Dad is, Dad said it was rather cold down there yesterday. I spoke to him
Yes.
yesterday. He said it was
It's a,
cold.
Michelle, so we're freezing here in Florida, even snow in some cities. And there's some video which is going around with some guy saying there's snow in St. Thomas or Portland, but it seemed like he's the only person that can find that snow. So I had to put and say, boy, it's only you and God can find that snow. I think he was trying to pull a fast one. And not even the weather people can find that snow, which he's talking about there in in Jamaica. Michelle said 41 degrees this morning when I woke up. Michelle, speak to us in Celsius. What is Celsius? What is 41 degrees? Michelle, speak to us in Celsius. Convert it and send it to us. You guys, what are you saying about the snow figure? What is this like in the UK's? This morning was 2 degrees, you know, as well. But hey, Gary, this has been a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
momentous week. This has been a very momentous week here worldwide. We are seeing on the 20th, we saw the return of the Don. There's a song in Jamaica by Pincher say, one Don, I'm a Don, a Don, one Don. Something like that. Pincher's Return of the Don, which is Donald Trump, And it's been a very,
Yeah.
what they say, it's going to be, what should we say? It's going to be a turbulent period, or a disruptive period for the next 4 years. If anyone can say, what do you say about that? The next 4 years is going to be very turbulent. But before we go on to Donald Trump, I don't know if you've been following the news today about this guy who has been sentenced of 52 years for the killing of the three children in the UK, which is really really sad. That's one of the breaking news factor there. Following it, Gary. You know, this guy here
Well,
that stabbed them. uh, hmm?
yeah. It
Is
is
that?
sad. It is sad. It is very sad.
Yeah. 'Cause I was listening to the part of the what do you call? I was listening to part of the sentencing, and if I put up this bit here, because they said a pin drop can change your lives. What support victims' family told the judge, um, and this was really touching. I think they said there's going to be some inquiry because Nigel Farage is speaking about this. Nigel Farage is saying that this Southport stabbing, which created a riot, he's saying they hid a lot of information. You know, they hid a lot of information from the public, and that is what created a lot of the riot. It is not terrorism, according to what the judge said. based on the definition of terrorism, but the act was a terror act. Yeah, the families of the
Yeah.
two girls were murdered by Axel Rodakuba, and the other victims of the knife attack have told Liverpool Crown Court about the horrific impact it has had on their lives. And Radakubama has been sentenced to a minimum term of 52 years for the three murders and 10 attempted murders in July 2024. You know, and there we are seeing Alice De Silva Aguirre, one of the little girls who was killed, and and then we have Elsie Dot Stancombe, 7 years old, was killed. You know, and
Yeah. It's sad. It's very sad, really.
mm, Lena Lucas, she was a dance instructor. She was stabbed, and accordingly, the guy was actually saying to the judge that he wanted to get out, or so he wanted out because he couldn't deal with he wanted to see some what about in their sentencing. They're not listening to it, you know. And that's one of the things there, you know. And what Keir Starmer was talking about. Keir Starmer was talking about that Keir Starmer was saying what he said. Keir Starmer was saying that it is knife crime and access to the knife. We all know that lots of people have knives in their houses, you know what I mean? And it's sort of blaming Amazon.
I don't know. I mean,
You know?
what is the what
Don't
is
it?
the real
Yeah.
what's what is the real problem here? I mean, everybody is trying to apportion blame to something else. They don't want to take responsibility at all. So what do you think? I mean, is somebody out there in your audience who could give us help us define what the real problem is? Is it Amazon? Is it the government? Is it the families? What really is the
Or
cause?
or or is it the guy just bad? Is
Something
it the
must
guy
have
just
taken
bad?
place. Yeah, something must have taken place in his mind, in his heart. Something must have triggered all of that because
Yeah.
it's the same guy. Is it? It's the same guy there, right? That was on as a
Mm.
youth. He was featured in some adverts. Yeah,
Oh, this guy.
yeah. Is it the same guy? The one that was
Oh,
born in Wales?
yes. This is the guy that was born in Wales. He was in some advert. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was. I mean, when you look at him in his younger days, well, as a
Mm.
child, I mean, you could never imagine him then, a couple years later, doing what he has done.
Mm.
So something must have triggered him. You can't say that it can't be said because where was he born? He was born in Wales, yes,
Yeah, he's British. Yeah.
right. But his parents is from where? Rwanda. Is his parents
Well,
from Rwanda or somewhere?
I think Rwanda. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you can't. It can't be said. I don't think it can be said that um he's been traumatized by war because he doesn't know you know he doesn't know what war is. So we can't use that as an excuse.
Yes. Let me
So
just ask Michelle
something.
what Michelle meant by saying yeah. Sorry, Michelle says something about audio. Audio. I don't know what that is. Let me just try to hear something here if there's an issue with the audio at the same time. But I'm gonna play a little bit of the sentencing. Michelle says something about. Okay, well I'm not. Okay, my audio seems to be okay. I don't know what's happening there. But anyway, let me play something about the guy and the judge making the sentencing. If I can find it. The judge, and let me know if you can hear it actually.
Okay.
On counts 1 to 3 murder, I sentence him to custody for life with a minimum term which he must serve in custody of 52 years, less the time he's served already. He's been in custody for 175 days on remand, which will be credited. Therefore, the minimum term is 51 years and 190 days. On counts 4 to 11, I sentence him concurrently to custody for life with a minimum term of 18 years, less 175 days served, on each count concurrently with each other. Allowing for his time served on remand, the minimum term on those counts is 17 years and 190 days. On counts 12 and 13, I sentence him concurrently to custody for life with a minimum term of 16 years, less his time served on remand, on each count concurrently with each other, leading to a minimum term on those counts of 15 years and 190 days. On counts 14 and 16, I sentence him to 18 months custody concurrently with each other and all other offences. He will pay the appropriate amount he will pay the appropriate amount under 18 statutory charge, which will be entered on the court record. Accordingly, in total, I sentence Rudy Cabana to 13 sentences of custody for life and a minimum term to be served in custody of 51 days and 190 days. It is highly likely that he will never be released.
There's DIY, and there's doing it yourself.
Yeah, so that was just a brief bit of the judge there, just giving the sentence of 52 years or 51 years and so like that. So you won't come out of you won't be able to come out or seek any parole or whatever till he's in his 70s. And mark you, this chap was teenager, but he was going to be 18 in a few months' time. You know,
that's life. Right? He ain't coming back out.
He's not coming back out. He's not coming back out. And in light of what he did, it's more likely that he won't even be there for a long time. He's going to have a hard time there in prison. I must say, it slightly reminds me of not to remind me, but you remember that chap who is in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, the guy who had sex with the girl, and she I think he's now becoming 18 or so. I think he's languishing there for a year. I think lots of discussions are talking about the age of being a teenager. I mean to say that he should be treated as an adult, but the age is the age. At the same time, that he should be treated as even though he's a teenager, and because he's going to be an adult. So that has been taken into consideration as well. At the fact that he's a child. So if it was an adult, it would have been much more, if I'm not mistaken. But the whole aspect of knife, because that was a stabbing, and they made reference to the knife, and they made reference to Amazon in the whole process. They made reference to Amazon, just two clicks, and you get the knife come to you. But what they're saying, they're going to try to make it a two-tier, what should I say, ID that persons have to put in, before they can actually get a knife or buy a knife or so. But I don't know if you've heard that there's been 5 persons who were stabbed today in Croydon. I don't know if you heard about that.
No,
and then last week or so, there was that other boy who was stabbed in Woolwich. And I think in Birmingham, near to you, there was that was a gun Was it a stabbing as well in Birmingham there?
It's just getting ridiculous, man.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like like there's something there which is in the air, and normally it's in the summer period, but this is in the cold period. I always say the summer of discontent or so. Stabbing up 5 persons. In just recently, they said 5 treated. London ambulance service. 5 people have been treated following a stabbing Thursday morning in South London, according to London Ambulance Service. A man was arrested following the stabbing in Croydon, which the media reports that happened near an Asda supermarket. Ambulance service said that 1 person was taken to a major trauma center in London and 4 other persons were hospitalized. The violence came on the same day that a teenager faced sentencing for fatality, stabbing 3 girls at a Taylor Swift themed summer dance, which is what we just mentioned about, in the northwestern England of Southport. The Kemi Badenoch made some statements about it, and she alluded to it in the Prime Minister's question time, but she said she'll refer to it after the sentencing, and she put a statement out there in regards to it. But what we are seeing is somewhat of a rise in the sense of these grueling sort of killings, stabbings, wanton. It's like the alien or the devil is on loose in the city or in the world at the same time. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, man. Something's not right. Something is really not right. Yeah. But you see, the thing about it is that you can't. I don't know. It's not right to. It's not right to always. What's the word? It's not right to always spiritualize things. One shouldn't always spiritualize things, but something definitely is not right. But then you can't. The politicians cannot seem to find a solution, because you can always tighten the laws, which of course every successive government has always done that. They've tried to tighten the laws. They've tried to address things in that way. But how far can you tighten the law? How much can you do? Because it would see every time a lawyer or the government brings an act and a paper and all of these to tighten the law, and the police is then given more power and more. They've given more authority to do whatever they feel like doing. It's not helping, Sylbourne. It's not helping. Nigel Farage raises the question by saying, or the statement by saying that things are covered up. Well, I believe that's what has been said for a very long time. Things are being covered up. Things that there are more things that's happening in our communities more than what is being allowed to be said.
Yes.
And it is only when certain things happen that it would seem when something's on the boil, and there's a cover over the pot, there's a cover over the vessel. It's gonna blow. The fire is underneath the pot. It doesn't blow up, but what it does is that there are some things that there are some actions where whatever is in the pot sometimes seeps through the lid. You understand?
Yeah.
Whatever is in the pot is boiling.
Yeah.
But the cook knows it's boiling. But what the cook cannot contain or cannot control is what comes through the lid. Because yes, you can turn it down and probably it will simmer for a while, but even then still at times there's a bit of solution or a bit of the water or whatever is in there that will come. And sometimes you have to take the pot completely off the fire, because even though it's not cooked properly, but you have to take the cook, or you have to take the lid off the pot. Yes, sometimes you have to take the lid off the pot because the pressure that's within the pot is too great for the lid to stay on top, or you have to allow the steam to vent. And
Garry, and Garry, you can cook, yeah?
I'm not a very good cook. I would put myself in the kitchen.
Explaining it.
Yeah, but and that's what's happening in society still.
Yeah,
that's what's taking place. I mean, we finished up on a very good note last week. I don't want to go back to that, but I'm just bringing I'm just bringing a comparison where in Jamaica, in the situation that we're talking about the cleaner, allow the cleaner to clean, and but instead of allowing the cleaner to go into the office, and we use that example.
Yes,
the office is messy. You give the cleaner the solutions and the equipment to clean the office, but when the cleaner gets to the office, they can't get in. They can't get in to clean the office. And we only use that as an example of what the government was doing in relation to what the Prime Minister had put in place. It's like now, it's like what we're talking about. The problems in society is greater than what the government can manage. And it's beginning to seep. It's beginning to boil, and the government cannot control it. It can't control.
So if the government cannot control it,
sorry, go ahead.
So if the government cannot control it, then where does the work needs to become from then? If the government cannot control it, if the government, because Sadiq Khan, because Sadiq Khan, of course, is Sir Sadiq Khan. And they say he's like, we're talking about like knife crime for argument's sake in London, and you can see the increase and the rise. You got to look at it again, and
what
sounds
can
like
he do? He can't do anything.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, because you're not talking about a massive percentage of the population. You're talking about some individuals, to a certain extent. But anyhow, Garry, we're gonna leave that one there. We because time is going. Let's look at the big thing which happened on the 20th. Donald Trump. Donald Trump became the new president of America. Sleepy Joe is gone now. Kamala is gone now, and now he's in there for the reign for the next 4 years. You're seeing coming through the states a lot of persons who are happy, elated, overjoyed, and some at the same time are depressed, dejected, and saddened by the rise of Donald Trump. But one of the things that I saw with Donald Trump at the inauguration ceremony, and I was listening to his speech, and when I was listening to his speech, I was saying, hang on, Donald, you're actually the government, what you should do is just sort of say some niceties and just make everybody feel nice. But then it hit me powerfully that, hang on a second, this guy wasn't put in there just like that. He was put in there by a message which he was putting out there. He was put in the office by the what should I say, the popular vote. He was put in office there by the House, and he also had the Senate. So when I heard him hitting out at Biden and the government previously, I said, actually, that's what he was there for. That's what he's there for. He's there for, they put him there. And you don't have leaders these days who actually will stand up and speak up for the people who actually put them there. Once they're there now, they change the tune. But he actually saying the same thing. It's like he's saying the same thing as he's been he's like he's still campaigning. I was listening to Davos today, so like he's still campaigning, saying the same thing, saying the same thing, Garry. Yeah.
I mean, one thing, okay, whether it's good or bad, let us identify one thing here. He's hit the ground running and he's working.
And what?
He's working.
Yes.
I mean, whether it be good or bad, I'm not applauding him for what he's doing or anything like that. We're just looking at his actions. He's doing what he's working. He's hit the ground running. He's saying what he believes needs to be said and done. Right? People are running scared. I think people in the UK, in the US, are running scared. Again, I'm not saying that whatever he's doing is good, and I'm not saying whatever he's doing is bad. What I'm saying is that he is making an effect. People are responding to what he's saying and his actions, and some are responding positively, some are responding negatively. So he's making an impact. He's making more of an impact than probably Biden did in his first 100 days, and then later on in the last 4 years. Okay, so
he's making a massive impact in the few days than Biden 100 days. It seems like.
He is. Yes, he is. I mean, you can't. I mean, what can you? You can't fault him for that.
Yeah.
You can't fault him for that because he is doing something. You know, he's doing something. So I don't know.
He's making these raft of executive orders. I think and when he was the same day, he at the desk. Everybody was wondering what was the desk for at this arena. I knew what the desk was for. He told me the desk was simply for executive orders. I knew
he told you.
Oh yeah, he told me that was for executive orders. You know what I mean? and anybody could know that it was for executive orders, you know. And but one which is very controversial is the birthright citizenship. You know what that is, yeah? The birthright citizenship. So. Yeah, that is whereby anybody, whether you're illegal or legal, once you have a child and that child is born in the United States of America, that child is a U.S. citizen and afford everything to be a youth. I used to hear about lots of people who sometimes used to go to America just to have that child in America to become a citizen. Right. And what he did, he signed an executive order to remove it, but it's already in the Constitution. And recently now, a U.S. judge has temporarily blocked the order to change birthright citizenship, which is enshrined in the Constitution. The judge says the order, which is slated to take effect in February, was blatantly unconstitutional. Meanwhile, Trump has declassified files related to the death of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. That's going to be very interesting. With all the different rumors. He had declassified these files. So therefore, there's going to be some serious, massive shaking going on in America at this time. A lot of persons are like in Jamaica, I've been reading that lots of people are worried of their status and that is going to come for them. Even people are saying they are immigrants, but I say it seemed like Donald Trump is more for persons who are coming in the country illegally based on the borders, and they want to shut it down. That's why I sent about 1,500 troops. Yeah. So that's it there in the sense of Donald Trump. And I don't know if you have seen the church service. There's a church service which was a national church service which was attended recently, whereby the bishop said to the effect that he must be kind or must be compassionate to the LGBT and persons who work in office, and not all not all immigrants or illegal immigrants are bad, you know. And I think him and Vance look at each other and they were really peed off by this bishop. Don't know if you saw that. Yeah.
I I did see it. Is she gay also? Is she gay
I have no
or
idea.
not?
I have no idea. But according to what they're saying, she's of a woke mentality.
Yeah.
I don't know about her sexual persuasion, but the message. I don't know if you heard the message, and the message is
I
something which is
I did. I did.
you did hear the message. What do you thought about the message?
Well, I mean, what am I to say about it? I mean, you know, probably she's right. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that I think that I mean, for someone to give a message like that, especially in a church, well, there must be some reasons. I mean,
Mm.
you know, she's preaching something or she's giving a message that has touched the chord. And
Yes.
yes, when you consider
Mm.
when you consider many who have gone to the United States,
Mm.
and there are those who have been there for quite a few years and they've worked, they've contributed, they're making ends meet for themselves and their families. You know,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know, my brother.
I listened to the message, and of course, the person preaching. There's one thing which he said which stood out was that people are hurting, and and want to try to unite. I don't think anything is wrong with that. I don't think anything is wrong by echoing that people are hurting, whether they're LGBT or whatever like that. You know, there are people still, and you know.
Right, right.
So therefore, what she's saying is that the president must have mercy. Now, to the level of mercy that the president can do, can effect, that's another thing. What sort of mercy can he give? 'Cause he's not God,
Mhm.
but I guess he has some sort of powers in a certain extent. What should he do? Give mercy to persons who are going through the borders and breaking the law as well. You know,
Well,
I don't know what people think about that.
I don't know if again. I don't know. I think there ought to be some degree of flexibility. There's got to be flexibility because some who are coming over the borders have families there. Probably they have children
In the
or they
states, in the states, you
yes,
mean?
yes.
Yes.
Either they have a husband there, a wife there, they have a son or a daughter that's there. If they
Mm.
can make that connection, then I believe that there should be a degree of flexibility um, of uniting families, uniting a family.
Mm.
Now, let's look at the nucleus or the nuclear family. I mean, the
Yeah.
nuclear family is with a father, a mother, and children. I believe that should be kept together.
So what you're
Okay.
saying is that the family unit, as much as possible, must uh, try to stay together, try to keep that together as much as possible. So therefore, they should be looked
They
at
should. I think that
independently by their own, looked at in their own independent way, their own merit, not a blanket.
yes.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
No, right.
Yeah.
I think something like that should be done. I really believe
Mm.
something like that should be done. Um, Not to keep families like that. Now, obviously, um, people may make the case to say, well, if you're going to keep a family together, well, why not an aunt and an uncle and nephews and such? Which, of course,
Yes.
okay, look at that, consider. But
Yes.
if there's a wife there already and the husband is on one side and he's trying to unite that marriage because
Uh,
obviously that marriage is going to be broken.
Well,
Whether you
the US may say, well, we can still unite them by the one who's in the States to go back to and repatriate them back to Mexico or something like that. They could say, just like what the guy said, how do you separate? Why we don't want to separate families? And the guy said, well, listen, if someone commits a crime in the USA and they are citizens, the family is going to be separated because one is going to go to prison. The child is going to be without a father. The mother is going to be without a husband or a partner or so, vice versa, because they commit a crime. So therefore, that is separation. That is what the czar, the border czar, was actually saying. But I see the point what the lady was saying, and I see the bigger picture that it will have to be looked at in a very compassionate way, at the same time dealing with people, but with the block, or with the soldiers or so, which is going to be there, is going to be somewhat like a deterrent. It may seem like a deterrent for persons to just come to think that it's going to be all business as usual, just like when Joe was there, Uncle Joe and Camilla. But it's not going to be the same way. The woke factor is gone. There's only male and female, which is official. I think he was speaking to Davos a while ago, and he was saying, going through the whole thing, male and female as well. A lot of people will.
I mean, I really appreciate that of him. I appreciate that of him.
Yes.
Where he has stood up for male and female. Now, and I know that has what's the word? Has put a spanner in the spokes for LGBTQI, and all of that. I know that has happened.
There's something which I find very interesting, though, and even Trump was saying it is very interesting, that Biden pardoned all his family ahead of, if anything. It is, what's the right word? Penelope, whatever. He pardoned his family ahead of any charges or anything like that. And Trump said, "What is that?"
Yes.
You didn't pardon yourself, and but at the same time, Trump also pardoned a lot of the guys who were involved with the January the 6th. Whatever happened on January the 6th?
Yes.
Did I say it's an insurrection or whatever like that? The Proud Boys out. One police officer is saying that this is crazy. I mean, my country has let me down because these guys were very horrible. And a lot of them are coming out and say 1,500 of them and say, yeah, we're back on the track, Jack. But the big question, was it an insurrection or what? What was it? That is something that Trump is not putting in his diary or in his vocabulary, if anything. So it's a very, but I think what he has done, though, is setting the stage so he can deal with all other bits and pieces, because the president also pardoned 23 anti-abortion activists and signed executive orders relating to cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and the recognition of Lumbee tribe of North Carolina. I was listening to 500 billion, which was received by 500 billion, which was received to deal with AI. That's very interesting, because I tell you this, anybody who's listening, just like how Facebook was starting, just like how TikTok was starting, just like how Amazon was starting, you better get into AI, because everything is being thrown at AI. The Prime Minister of the UK made a speech this week saying that that Britain is the superpower of AI. Trump has put 500 billion behind AI as well, and in regards to TikTok, he made it clear. He gave it 90 days for it to get together and sort out itself. A lot of people are happy about that, because a lot of people make a lot of financial benefit from TikTok. Families, people, that's their job. That's their livelihood, content creators. But he said that if they get rid of TikTok and at 170 million people in the States, in the UK, in the States, they're going to lose. So might as well, let me get part of it, 50-50. 50% to the United States, 50% to China. And Trump was saying that I don't think China is really after all these young people or so and their details. That's what Trump was actually saying. So he's changing his tune, even though he was the one that started the process in the first place. So we're seeing he's setting the stage in all different ways. But of course, what is coming to hit him now, or the administration, is Elon Musk and this thing that he did. I don't know if you saw that thing from his heart. I don't know if you saw that issue, Gary.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Oh, you missed that one. You missed that one. They said he gave the Hitler thing, yeah. When he
you mean the salute? The salute, yes,
salute, yeah.
Yes.
I was trying to say he could have go like this and just put his fist up and say, yeah, we got it. But he did. So people are saying that you tried. You go out on the road and they said you go out on the road and try the same thing like what he did and see what happens. And people are saying you look at it, that test. Do that test there, like the average man in the street. Do that same thing there. As well. Very, very, very interesting what is happening, But in a way, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Not that it matters to me, really, because it could just be him overzeal and overexcited because, he's very hyper at the same time. And that's brilliant mind people are like that, So I'm not going to justify it. I'm not going to say yes or no. Just leave it. Let it run its course. Not that because he's listening and I'm on X. Yeah. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Sil, that politicians, they need to be more careful of what they do. It may have been just a very innocent gesture, but then we don't know. Yeah. I'm not trying to stick up for him, but
yes,
he could have just done it very as an innocent thing, but obviously it's been interpreted wrongly. He hasn't said anything. He hasn't responded to that, has he?
Oh yeah, he has responded to it and said, "You guys are just talking about this all the while. They say Trump was this, blah blah blah." He just sort of blow it off in a way, like yeah. Anyway, before we go, let us just. I like to do this thing with Kemi because I'm watching her growth. When I started doing my walk, they said 21 days of doing something. After 21 days, you perfect it or it becomes a habit. And I'm watching her growing. And I was watching this one this week, and it's very interesting. Let's have a look at it.
Mr. Speaker, can I take this opportunity to welcome the release of hostages, including Emily Damari, from barbaric captivity. I also know that the thoughts of many will be with the victims of the Southport killings. There are important questions to answer, and I will return to those after the case is concluded. Between 2009 and 2022, the OECD found children in England rose up global league tables in maths, reading, and science. Conservative government action means English schools now top the Western world at maths and reading. The Prime Minister's Schools Bill, which is being voted on in committee this week, reverses the improvements that made this happen. This bill is an act of vandalism. It is wrecking a cross-party consensus that lasted for decades. Why does the Prime Minister think that so many school leaders are criticizing this bill? There are important questions to answer.
First of all, just something she said. This bill is an act of vandalism. Yeah, this bill is an act of vandalism. Let us keep playing. Again, the Prime Minister is going to come on. I think I sort of rewind it a bit. Let me see.
And I will return to those after the case is concluded. Between 2009 and 2022, The OECD found children in England rose up global league tables in maths, reading, and science. Conservative government action means English schools now top the Western world at maths and reading. The Prime Minister's Schools Bill, which is being voted on in committee this week, reverses the improvements that made this happen. This bill is an act of vandalism. It is wrecking a cross-party consensus that lasted for decades. Why does the Prime Minister think that so many school leaders are criticising this bill?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it was Labour that introduced academies in the first place to drive up standards. Academies are here to stay and will continue to drive up standards. That's what the bill is about. But also in that bill are important provisions for protecting children, including a provision to stop abusers taking children out of school, a unique identifier to ensure the whereabouts of all children are known. What did the Leader of the Opposition do? She instructed all of them to vote against those measures.
Voting.
He didn't even bother voting on that.
Can I ask a question? Did he answer the question?
No.
Did he answer the question? Okay. He never does. As a matter of fact, I was in a meeting the other day with some members, and I put a question to her. And the question was, does the Prime Minister answer questions? And she said, the Prime Minister never answers questions. Anyhow, let us keep going at this now. He never answers questions, which is a shame.
Mr. Speaker. And he talks about safeguarding measures. That's not what the issue is. It's about the reforms that he is changing. We have an example of where these reforms were not introduced. Wales, which has been under Labour control for 2 decades. Welsh educational outcomes have tumbled down international league tables. Poor children in England now do better than wealthier children in Wales. This bill denies children the guarantee that their failing schools will be turned into a better academy. It is an attack on excellence. It is an attack on higher standards. It is an attack on aspiration. This bill is the worst of socialism, Mr. Speaker, and isn't it deprived children in England who will pay the price?
Mr. Speaker, as I said, we introduced academies. We're committed to them. We're driving standards up. But this bill is important because it also sets up breakfast clubs for education. It limits the expense of school uniform, and it puts in place vital protections for children. She has to answer the question, why did she instruct all of them to vote against child protection measures?
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister thinks that he can distract people from what is wrong with this bill. This is not about breakfast clubs and school uniforms. Teachers and parents will be horrified at just how bad this bill is. Even his own MPs may not realize it, but the bill will cut teachers' pay. It cuts pay for 20,000 teachers. His education secretary says there is not a ceiling for pay. They're all shaking their heads. They clearly haven't read the bill. She hasn't read the bill either. Because clause 45 means teachers' pay will be capped. Did the Prime Minister know that the bill as it stands will cut teachers' pay?
Prime Minister.
Do you think they actually read the bill? Well, it seems like they have not, according to what Kemi is saying as well. And you're watching it, you can see the impact, if anything, Kemi is having on the Prime Minister. And that is very important to bring up the level of accountability at this time. And that's why I'm saying I can see that she's getting strong. Garry. Yeah. Okay.
Go on. Go ahead.
No, you say what you're saying, Garry. I'm spreading it because of Yeah,
I'm just saying that that if you notice, most of the questions that Kemi is asking of the Prime Minister always reverts back to bills that she hasn't supported, and decisions that she didn't do, and all of that. So obviously, when she says that, as if to say, well, the Prime Minister deflects these things, she's only saying that he's not answering what I'm asking.
Yes. Yes. Steering away from the answer.
They don't have an answer for it. They don't have an answer.
Yes. I saw the lady there. There's somebody, I think, on this side. Just look at the black guy who is sitting there, one of the ushers or one of the I forget what his title is. Can you see him there? I don't know and you can see the lady in front of him. She's piercing her ears forward, like she said, "Is he gonna answer? Is he gonna answer?" She's listening attentively. Listen now, yeah.
Mr. Speaker, we do need flexibility in our schools. And if she'd hopped off social media for a while, she would have seen the amendment that was put down this morning to achieve that.
And he just stopped right there, because I noticed he tried to drop these snide remarks regarding her messing around on social media. I mean, he recognized, he said it, even though AI is a part of it. AI is a super aspect for the UK forward. And he's sort of making a sort of derogatory comment regarding social media, if she can hop off social media. And I think it is very rude, and I think he's very condescending, I must say.
Well,
but can go on? Yeah. You're saying?
I don't want to make it sound funny, but I think he can't do any better. He can't do any better because he has to. They can't catch him on being. He's borderlining racism. You hear me? He's borderlining.
You think so? Yeah.
Of course, but they can't.
Yes.
They can't.
Very. It is like lawyers. Sometimes I was talking to some lawyers recently, and they were alluding to the fact that they may go to court, and solicitors, barristers, and while they're going through the section where you check your bags or whatever, they would ask. Sometimes they'll overlook them and say they are a social worker, or you're a guardian, or you're just because they're black. The assumption is that they're not solicitors, they're not barristers, and it is subtle going around. Even one person was saying that once they're in court, I think there's a barrister or a solicitor, and they thought they were a probation person. They took them through the probation section, and these are the subtle ways how you see racism comes out, and the Prime Minister's got to be very careful because people are watching him at this time. So anyway, let's continue with this one here.
But she says this bill is not about child protection. We had a young child killed who was taken out of a school by an abuser. This bill closes that gap. That is urgently needed. We have children who have not gone back to school since COVID. This bill closes that gap. She can make her points on academies. We can debate academies, but to vote against the bill is a disgrace on all of them.
This is nonsense, Mr. Speaker, and the amendment he's talking about does not address this issue. He raises academies. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like every other parent, I believe all our children should have the best teachers. Apart from cutting their pay, listen to what the head of year 11, Mr. Speaker, at Michaela, the head of year 11 at Michaela, the most successful school in the country, came from the armed forces. The headmistress says that with Labour's new rules, she would never have been able to hire him. Those are the academy freedoms I'm talking about. This bill would have blocked that veteran from teaching. The bill implies that doctors are not sufficiently qualified to teach biology, that Olympic medalists can't teach PE. Why is the Prime Minister closing down routes into teaching when we should be opening up more?
She knows that's not right. No, it's not. Look at the provisions in the bill. But to say there ought to be qualified teachers in our schools should not be extraordinary or opposed. And we had far too many examples in our secondary schools under their watch of teachers missing when we needed maths teachers. They championed maths. We didn't have enough maths teachers in our secondary schools, and I want every single child of the best possible education.
Just to bring up that point there again, Gary, you just saw someone, I don't want to miss that point here. The point that we mentioned about the Prime Minister and about the subtle remarks bordering on racism, and I mentioned about the lawyers and barristers, but someone just mentioned a while ago, in court, I've been called a parent instead of the professional social worker. You see what I'm trying to say? At the same time, because they're not expecting, in a sense, black people to be successful. I think Michelle Obama said it one time that well, she alluded to Trump anyway, but it's a principle that can be applied, that they don't believe that there can be two black successful persons, two black successful lawyers, i.e. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, and she was peeved by that. But anyway, let's just carry on that bit there. But I just flagged up that point because Nubian Q had flagged it up, and I think it is something that cannot be overlooked, and we have to monitor these things and watch these things as they're going on. Let us hear further what Kemi final word is going to be.
The facts speak for themselves. The standards went up under Conservative governments. What we need to know is who is benefiting. Mr. Speaker, everyone is asking who is benefiting from these changes. It's not teachers. Their pay is being capped. It's not parents. Their choices are being restricted. It's definitely not children. Their outcomes will get worse. So who is benefiting? It's the trade unions. The National Education Union sent out a tick list proving that after a decade and a half, they are finally getting their way. Why is the Education Secretary allowing trade unions to run her department and ruin children's education?
The bill benefits the children who need the nourishment of a breakfast club. The bill benefits the families that can't afford uniforms. The bill benefits the children who are currently out of school and nobody knows where they are. The bill benefits the children who could be taken out of school by abusers if this bill doesn't go through. She should change her mind and support these vital provisions.
The Prime Minister needs to get out more and speak to schools. I was at the Harris Academy just this month, and what are they saying? That this bill reverses 2 decades of progress, imposing Labour's new curriculum on every school, taxing the education of children with special needs, excluding talented outsiders. The closed shop is back. This is pure educational vandalism. And alongside these attacks, removing single-word Ofsted judgments so parents cannot see the standards slipping. It is the same old Labour. Bad outcomes for all children, excellence for none. Mr. Speaker, I know what it's like to go to a school which didn't care about standards. This is a tragedy in the making. The key changes in this bill were not in their election manifesto. Isn't that because he knew parents and teachers would reject them?
It's the vote.
Yes, Gary, that was Kemi Badenoch there presenting Prime Minister's Question Time at Prime Minister's Question Time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're watching. What's your review? What's your take on Kemi? What's your take on Prime Minister Starmer at the dispatch box? Did Kemi get one up? Did the Prime Minister get one over? Is Kemi getting better? Is she holding her own as well? That's a good question. Because my saying is, I'm going to check to see how many times she's been at the dispatch box. 21 times at the dispatch box, she'll be a master at it after 21 times. I use the word as 21 days, after 21 days. But I don't think she has been there for 21 days. Is it? Could be. I don't know. I'll check it out from the 6 months and do a thing. But what's your take on that sort of vandalism, educational vandalism, as Kemi says? Educational vandalism.
Well, I mean, if they are addressing and lessening what the Conservative Party or whichever party, which it was the Conservative, whatever they had done for the league tables in the United Kingdom to be raised as one of the best in the world, and then
Yes.
Labour then diminishing that. Obviously, it's vandalism. Something's going on.
Yes. I need to get to the bottom of it. Well, let's hope that in the next few days or so that Kemi will, or the Prime Minister will offer these questions as well. So yeah, well, that's for Prime Minister's question time with Kemi Badenoch for this week for the review of PMQ, and we're just gonna do a quick break, and then we'll go over just a quick bit, spend a few minutes over on Jamaica, because there's something very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch this space. I got a note sometime this week that says about Spanish Town in Jamaica is being shut up or so. I'm just gonna look at the comment that because I get a lot of people send me things from Jamaica regular. So I'm always inundated with things I don't want to hear, but I just can't say to anybody don't send me anything, because it's very important. They said what they said, there's gunfire in Spain, which is Spanish Town. There's lots of gunfire in Spanish Town, and I got to understand what took place and what is happening, and I'm gonna read this bit here, and this is something that says, for this greetings all, for this message out for your units urgently. Apparently it's something for the police also. Threat levels against members of the security forces elevated to extreme January 23rd, 2025. The threat levels against members of the security forces have been elevated to extreme following the fatal shooting of a gentleman, someone called Othniel Lubban, also known as Thickman, top tier member of the One Order gang. Lubban was killed during a confrontation with members of the security forces on January 22nd, 2024. Intelligence assessment indicate that gang members and their supporters intend to retaliate violently, posing a serious risk to the safety of law enforcement personnel both on and off duty. These retaliatory actions are also likely to include the mounting of roadblocks along key thoroughfares, causing disruption to movement of the general public. The primary areas of concern are within Spanish Town and its environs, including Taw's Pen, Ellerslie Pen, Spanish Town Bypass, Young Street, Cumberland Road, and Oxford Road, which are known to be readily accessible to the gang and their supporters. Additionally, given Lubban extensive association and the reach of the One Order gang network, divisions such as St. Andrew South, Kingston East, and Kingston West are also at heightened risk. Members of the security forces operating in these areas are advised to exercise extreme caution and maintain constant vigilance. To mitigate the risk, members of the security force should adopt heightened situational awareness and adhere to enhanced safety protocols. Yeah. And, so potential threats associated with the situation. So this is a situation which is developing in Jamaica, Garry. Apparently, this person got killed is some gang member, some top gang guy. But it just points to the problem of crime in Jamaica. Crime. Somebody will just dismiss this right away, Garry, and just say, man, crime everywhere, man. Crime in Jamaica, crime in the UK. Crime. Somebody will just dismiss that, simple as that. A lot of people just dismiss this simple as just crime is everywhere. But I strongly believe that in Jamaica, especially with the gangs, with affiliations with political parties, it's like there's such a need for, like there's such a need for, what should I say, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, something that really iron out all of these things which has been happening for years, from the 80s or so, like that. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I
It,
mean,
it, it, mm.
who is this guy? Who is this Loban?
He was a leader of the one order of some top gang in Jamaica.
So, who killed him?
Police. Yeah.
Isn't there someone that was connected with him? Was what's his name connected to that gang to some extent? Vibes.
I'm trying to remember, because when I hear the name One Order, and One Order was linked with somebody recently, I think.
Somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That is not strange. That word there, when I can't think of who's been in the news in Jamaica that was not connected to that guy. To that guy.
Yeah. Somebody just said a while ago, sending something from Jamaica. The core of many of our problems is indiscipline. They try to beat obedience into us since the days of slavery, making it seem that the two are the same, but they are not. And that made us more rebellious. Discipline and obedience are not the same. What we need is discipline at all levels. Discipline make you feel civilized, make you respect yourself, others, and your surrounding as well. Obedience make you behave like a puppet. And once your master is back turned, you rebel.
Yeah.
I think Michelle say, can't give any reviews. I know nothing about England politics, so I just listen. Yeah, that's all right, Michelle. That's no problem. I guess we'll ask you for your review on Donald Trump in a few years' time or so, 4 years' time or next week. I think he can do many things in 7 days. But yeah, so definitely that's happening in Jamaica. We'll have some update on that more than likely on Saturday night. But Sunday night, I did have a discussion with Miss Daniel Archer, and the discussion was about the bribery act in Jamaica. Because bribery is a big thing in Jamaica. But the thing about it, Gary, you cannot really put your finger on it. That's the thing about it. She's the principal director of National Integrity Action. You can't put your finger on it and to pinpoint and say, you are it, that's it, because everything is so subtle and deep in there, yeah? So that's it. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining tonight on In Review. And let me hear what Top says. The one order is somebody just said that the one order is linked to the ruling JLP and the Klansman to the PNP. There we go, Gary. So somebody just clarified it a while ago. So the one order is linked to the JLP and the Klansman to the PNP. So you see, and that is why I keep saying that there need to be some level of Truth and Reconciliation Commission, because there's a history there, and it's a lot of dirt which is pushed underneath the carpet, and then it will rise up. And this year is a year of election, so watch your space. Enough things are gone. The World Sprat was linked to the Klansman gang. He was actually done also. Virgin, who is the World Sprat? The World Sprat was linked to the Klansman gang. Actually, the World Sprat seemed to be. Is it that person there? Say the person name or allude to the something. The World Sprat was linked to the Klansman gang. He was actually a Don also. Hear that, Gary? Don't know if my virgin is gonna say that. Yeah, he was a major enforcer for the Klansman gang. Backside, Gary. See, major enforcer. So therefore, that's the thing. Major enforcer, responsible for a lot of murders in around St. Catherine, Clarendon, and Kingston to some extent. That person's there.
So was he was organized.
They said Gary mentioned his name. Who did you mention, Gary? Whose name did you mention?
Vibes.
Bakalakashaga. Yes. Anyway.
So I mean, does that mean then a lot of the killings that are murders in the parishes that you were just called out, does that mean that they were ordered by the JLP? Well, when I say ordered, I mean it came from that area.
Well, I'll put it this way. I'll simply say, I don't know. I just simply say, I don't know. As that show used to come on, I know nothing. But it's a serious thing, and what is coming through right there is like Jamaicans will be held to ransom because apparently people cannot go to work. When people cannot go to work, they can't get food to eat because, of course, that is money that they need. So therefore, there's a serious issue there in regards to this. And we talk about a crime plan, and they talk about a crime plan for argument's sake. So it is alluded or it is said that there's no crime plan in Jamaica. And I did an article a few years ago. Well, Peter Phillips was the Minister of National Security, and PJ Patterson was the Prime Minister. And I think the letter got Letter of the Day, and the title was "Bankruptcy of the Wills Fuel Crime." Bankruptcy of the will, because there was no sort of intention. It was intentional to deal with crime. So the guy in Salvador, that new prime minister, new president, he has brought it down, but he did it with the help of Jesus because he's a Christian guy, and he shut it down. One thing he did was investigate all of his ministers, get all of them investigated and shut them out. So as my brethren said, ultimately the politician call the shots. Whenever the downs get out of line, they get rid of them. Yes. So therefore, sometimes is when they hear things happen, is a man make a sound and say, deal with that person, But as long as they don't stay in line, they're allowed to rule and reign in their respective areas. Control, divide, and all those other things, Garry, this is a discussion that will have to be taken at some other time, as well, and look at it in some level of depth.
Yeah.
But let's see if Jamaica is really ready to deal with the scourge of crime. And my only worry is that this year is an election year. This year is an election year. And people want power, and people desperate to stay in power. People want power, and people are desperate to stay in power. Yes, up and show votes, and what my brother said, both JLP and PNP are complicit. Boom.
But I mean, that has always been. These kind of movements have always happened in Jamaica. Always. Yeah. I mean, you look at the gangs down in Trench down there. It was once said that it was Siaga that controlled that.
Tivoli.
Yeah, Tivoli. Then you look at the gangs up in Mountain View there, Worker Hills and all of that. That was another gang that was controlled by the PNP. So there's always a matter of elements like this in Jamaica. It's only that now it's getting worse. It's getting worse, and it seems that the political parties, let's not say the political parties, probably there are elements within the political parties that are controlling these things, and they're losing control. So when you have a gang now, right, that is issuing threats, like how they're issuing threats against the security forces, it's only an indication that the political parties or elements that are within these parties that have some kind of influence where these rogue elements are, they're losing control. Yes.
Well, Garry, we'll talk about this another time. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on, and for persons who are here tonight. But definitely going to speak about the bit about the subtle racism in the professions, as so lawyers, solicitors, barristers, professionals. So, and nothing is, the way how these things operate subtly, and watching the Prime Minister as so he addressed to Kemi when he says, "Get off your social media." Don't like those, because he says it all the while. Every week he drops something, you playing around. Yeah, I don't like, like he's trying to get under her skin, but she's a tough cookie anyhow still. That's why she's a leader. Yeah.
Yes,
Garry?
that's why she's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. Those on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and I think on Instagram, but I think I lost the Instagram feed there earlier. So peace out and God bless you. Until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.